As a college freshman who is having my first ever econ class, I was pretty confused about moving along the demand curve and shifting the entire curve. But later on, I found out that it is actually pretty easy to see the difference. So I figured that some of you might be struggling as well, so I want to make a video on the differences between moving along the demand curve and shifting the demand curve. Okay, so first thing first, what is demand in economics? It is concerned with buyers' behaviors. So depending on the market that you are looking at, consumers are buyers of goods and services in a product market, and firms are the buyers of factors of production. And that includes land, labor, capital, and technology and resource markets. So to make things simple, our analysis will only focus on the product market. So in microeconomics, the demand will show you the quantity of good or service that an individual consumer is willing and able to buy at different prices, Ceteris Paribus. And this fancy word means holding everything else constant. The only thing that may affect quantity demanded is the price. Also, in the definition, it says both willing and able. So for instance, I would be willing to buy a plane ticket to Paris, but I'm not able to because I'm just a poor college graduate student. Or in another case, I'm able to afford the ticket, but I'm not willing to because of COVID. And, it is kind of dangerous to travel there. So for any demand to be effective, you need to satisfy both conditions. So in this case, you have to be both willing and able to. So if you know me personally, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of macarons. So from this demand schedule below, you can tell the quantity of macarons that I will consider or prepare to buy according to different prices. So the information doesn't really tell you the amounts that you would actually buy unless we add in the supply curve later. If one macaron costs me $5 and then I will buy two, so if the price falls to $4, I will buy four. And as the price becomes lower and lower, I will buy more and more. And if I translate this chart on a graph, you can see this linear curve on an axis where the vertical axis indicates price of macarons and the horizontal line indicates the quantity of macarons. So to summarize the relationship between price and quantity demanded, we see a negative relationship between them. Ceteris Paribus, when price goes up, quantity demanded goes down, and when the price goes down, my quantity demanded goes up. This is known as the law of demand. So whenever my prices change, holding everything else constant, it will lead to a movement along the demand curve. Noting that here, I was very useful in using the term quantity demanded because later you'll know it is actually very different from demand. So basically, quantity demanded is related to a particular point on the curve, but demand is the entire curve. Now we can look at our big question, how to make the distinction between moving along the demand curve and shifting the entire demand curve. So before we solve this problem, we still have to consider under what scenarios the curve will shift. And we'll talk about that in our next video. I hope to see you next time.